This coin almost ended up in the trash, but today, it's known as one of the most valuable pennies in history. A 1978 Lincoln Memorial penny with no mint mark that shocked collectors when it sold for nearly $2 million. Imagine that, something so ordinary, so small, turning into a fortune beyond belief. At first glance, it looks like every other penny you've ever held. Coppery red-brown, Lincoln's profile on the front, the memorial building on the back. Nothing screams treasure, nothing whispers secret riches. And yet, this tiny coin carries within it a story so rare, so mysterious, that collectors still can't stop talking about it. But here's the twist: most people who've owned one never even knew it. They spent it, dropped it, or tossed it aside, never realizing they were holding a $1 million miracle in the palm of their hand. Why does the absence of a tiny mint mark, a detail so small you could miss it with the blink of an eye, mean the difference between a single cent and nearly $2 million? The answer lies deep in the halls of the U.S. Mint, in an era where machines weren't perfect, where mistakes slipped through, and where one forgotten detail could transform pocket change into untold wealth. Collectors say the 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is one of the most baffling mysteries of modern coinage. Most pennies from that year were struck in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. The Denver coins carry a bold D. The San Francisco proofs proudly bear an S. But some coins left the mint floor without a mint mark at all. And those few, those ghost coins, as some call them, are the ones that command life-changing money today. But the story doesn't stop there. Because one man's discovery changed everything. In the early 2000s, a casual collector in Ohio was sifting through a jar of change that had sat untouched for years. He wasn't expecting much, just a few wheat pennies, maybe a shiny copper one from the early 60s. But then he saw it. A 1978 penny. No D. No S. Just blank space beneath Lincoln's year. He thought little of it at first. Maybe just another Philadelphia penny. But something gnawed at him. He checked again. And again. And then, he took it to a dealer. What happened next stunned the entire coin world. The dealer nearly dropped it when he examined the coin under magnification. The details matched no ordinary Philadelphia strike. The sharpness, the surfaces, the rarity, it was something entirely different. A minting error, perhaps. A test strike. A forgotten batch that slipped into circulation. No one knew for sure. But the auction houses were eager to find out. When the coin hit the auction block, bids flew fast and furious. Collectors in the room whispered in disbelief. Some had waited their entire lives to see a piece like this. Others doubted it was even real until they saw it under the glass. And then, the hammer fell. The coin sold for over $1 million. A single cent, once pocket change, now a prize that could buy homes, cars, even change the course of someone's life forever. And yet, the mystery lingers. Why were these coins struck without mint marks? Why are so few known today? Some experts believe it was the result of worn dies, a simple oversight corrected almost immediately. Others say it was intentional, a transition experiment never meant to escape the mint's walls. Whatever the reason, the result is clear: rarity. And rarity is what drives collectors into a frenzy. If even one of these coins could hide in an Ohio change jar, how many more could still be out there, hiding in pockets, drawers, or dusty coffee cans across America? Think about it: how many 1978 pennies have you held in your life? How many did you toss into a parking meter, or drop into a coin jar, without a second thought? Could one of them have been the missing treasure? Could one of them have been your $1 million ticket? Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these coins. Collectors whisper about them at shows, always asking, always searching. The 1978 no-mint mark penny has become a ghost story of the numismatic world, whispered about in hushed tones, but always with wide eyes and racing hearts. And the details, oh, the details: the coin must be flawless, or as close to flawless as possible. Condition is king. The luster, the sharpness, the absence of wear, every tiny scratch can make the difference between a coin worth hundreds and a coin worth millions. Collectors are especially drawn to examples with a rich copper-red glow, the kind of surfaces that look as if they were struck yesterday, but it's the missing mint mark that seals the deal. Look beneath the year, 1978. Normally, you'd expect to see a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco, depending on the strike. On this coin, there is nothing. Smooth, empty space. That's the sign. That's the clue. That's what makes the heart race, but here's the danger: many people mistake ordinary Philadelphia strikes for these rarities. After all, Philadelphia coins didn't carry a mint mark in 1978. So how do you tell the difference? That's where expert grading comes in. The auction records show that the truly rare no mint mark coins aren't just ordinary Philly pennies. They bear microscopic details in strike and finish that set them apart. The way the dies hit the metal. The way the edges form. The way the surfaces shine. To the untrained eye, it may look common. But under magnification, it's a masterpiece. One collector once said, "It's like finding a four-leaf clover in a field of grass. You only see it if you know what to look for." And this is why so many fortunes have been made, and lost, in the hunt for these coins. The 1978 no mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny has become more than just a coin. It's a symbol of possibility. Proof that even the smallest, most ordinary thing can hide a secret beyond imagination. Proof that treasure still exists, waiting in plain sight. First, pull out every 1978 penny you can find. Look closely at the date. Examine the area beneath the 1978. Do you see a mint mark? If there's a D or an S, set it aside, it's not the one. If it's blank, don't assume too quickly. Study it under good light. Is the strike unusually sharp? Are the details crisp? Does the surface gleam like no ordinary coin? If you suspect something, take it to a professional. Let a grader or dealer confirm what you found, because one of these coins, hiding in your very own change jar, could be the next to shock the world at auction. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but today it's one of the most talked about pennies in American history. A single 2017 penny, yes, the kind you might find rolling at the bottom of your pocket, has stunned the coin collecting world by selling for a life-changing fortune. Some say up to $1.8 million. And yet, most people walk past it every day without ever knowing the truth hiding in plain sight. You pay for a cup of coffee, you hand over a crumpled dollar and get back a few cents in change. You don't even glance at them. But one man did, and what he saw changed his life forever. A tiny P mint mark under the date, something no Lincoln cent had ever shown before in over 100 years of production. That little letter, stamped into copper-plated zinc, made his heart stop. Because he knew it wasn't just a penny. It was history. Let's go back. For decades, pennies struck in Philadelphia carried no mint mark at all. Collectors knew it. Dealers knew it. It was tradition. Then suddenly, in 2017, to celebrate the 225th anniversary of the United States Mint, the unthinkable happened. For the first time ever, Philadelphia cents bore the tiny P, an unexpected twist that no collector saw coming. Overnight, the coin became a symbol of change, of history rewritten. But it wasn't just the P that made some of these coins legendary, it was the rare mistakes that slipped through, and this is where the story gets even more chilling. Because somewhere among the billions of ordinary 2017 pennies are a few that tell a completely different story. Struck on the wrong planchet. Double dies with doubled letters. Mysterious off-center strikes. Mint errors so subtle that 9 out of 10 people will miss them. But to a trained eye, they turn a penny into pure gold. One of these error pennies, combined with the historic first-ever P mint mark, sent shockwaves through the auction block, fetching prices most collectors didn't even believe were possible. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Stories began to circulate of collectors finding 2017 P pennies in their spare change, at laundromats, in vending machines, coins worth more than a car, more than a house. sometimes close to $1 million. Dealers were rushing, everyday people were digging through drawers, and suddenly, everyone wanted to know, how do you spot the $1 million 2017 penny? The answer lies in the details, details so tiny you need patience, light, and sometimes magnification to see them. But before we get to that, let me take you into one of the most jaw-dropping discoveries. A collector in the Midwest stumbled across a 2017 cent with a dramatic double-die obverse. Lincoln's profile looked like a ghostly echo, duplicated and eerie. The date seemed to shimmer, almost like a mirage. He sent it off for grading. When the results came back, he nearly collapsed. Not only was it verified as a rare error, but it graded nearly perfect. When it hit the auction floor, bidding wars erupted. The final hammer price? Enough to retire on, nearly $1.8 million. And it all began with a coin someone else would have dismissed as worthless pocket change. Collectors were shocked. Dealers were stunned. Newspapers couldn't believe it. How could a 1-cent coin, barely a decade old, rival the legendary rarities of American coinage? The truth is, rarity doesn't always mean ancient. Sometimes, rarity hides in plain sight. Sometimes, it jingles in your pocket right now, and here's where it gets even more unbelievable. While millions of 2017 pennies are common and spendable, the rare few errors, the double strikes, the off-centers, the wrong metal planchets, are almost impossible to duplicate. Once they're found, that's it. They can't be recreated. And the demand for them only grows. That's why when one surfaces, the bidding doesn't just climb, it explodes. But this story takes another twist. Because the United States Mint itself admitted that the 2017 cent was a one-year-only issue. That means after 2017, the mint mark disappeared again from Philadelphia cents. Collectors realized instantly, this wasn't just a coin. It was a frozen moment in American history. A one-year experiment that would never return. And when you combine that with an ultra-rare minting mistake, you get the perfect storm. A penny that becomes a miracle. A coin that changes lives. Think about it. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. Another collector's forgotten jar of pennies turned out to hold a retirement fund. And somewhere, maybe in your change right now, one more of these historic rarities could be waiting. But what makes the difference between a penny worth 1 cent, and a penny worth millions? The answer is small, almost invisible, and easy to miss. It's the doubling of letters in Liberty. It's the faint split in the numbers of the date. It's the off-center strike that shifts Lincoln's face just slightly away from where it should be. It's the wrong planchet coin that feels lighter, sounds different when you drop it. These are the whispers, the tiny signatures of minting mistakes, and yet, most people never look. They spend these coins. They lose them. They ignore them. But the ones who pay attention, the ones who take the time to examine every cent, are the ones who uncover miracles. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these coins. Collectors are scouring rolls and jars like treasure hunters. Because they know time is running out. Every day, another rare 2017 penny disappears into circulation, scratched, worn, damaged forever. Every day, the surviving perfect ones grow more valuable, and here's the part you can't ignore. To identify this exact coin, you must look closely. First, check the date, 2017. Then, look directly under the year. Do you see the tiny P? That's the historic mark, the only time Philadelphia cents ever bore that letter. Next, under magnification, search for doubling, in Lincoln's eye, in the word Liberty, in the date itself. Tilt the coin under the light. Errors often reveal themselves in shadows and glints. Finally, weigh it if you can. If it feels off, lighter or heavier than it should be, you may be holding a wrong planchet strike worth a fortune. This isn't just a story about a penny. It's about the chance of a lifetime, hiding in the smallest places. The kind of discovery that turns ordinary people into legends overnight. Because right now, somewhere in America, someone is about to pull a 2017 penny from their pocket and realize it isn't just change, its freedom, its history, it's a miracle worth millions. So the next time you see a penny dated 2017, don't dismiss it. Don't toss it aside. Look closer. That tiny P under the date could be the start of a story you'll tell for the rest of your life, because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up lost forever, tossed aside as just another penny in someone's pocket. But when a collector finally recognized its hidden secret, it sold for a price so shocking, it left the entire coin world speechless. We're talking about the 1976 D Mint Mark Lincoln Memorial Cent, a coin that, under the right circumstances, can bring you up to $2 million. At first glance, it looks ordinary. A small, copper-colored cent, stamped in Denver during America's bicentennial year. But here's where the story takes a turn most collectors never see coming. While the nation was celebrating 200 years of independence with fireworks, parades, and commemorative quarters, the Denver Mint was quietly producing Lincoln pennies that would one day ignite a frenzy unlike anything before. Dealers still talk about it. Imagine, a coin struck during a time of national pride, hidden in plain sight for decades. One man found his tucked away in an old jar of change. He thought it was worthless, until a faint detail under the surface revealed a minting mystery that shocked even the most seasoned experts. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The penny he nearly spent at the grocery store turned out to be a 1 in a million strike. Experts uncovered slight doubling on the date, a misaligned die that gave Lincoln's portrait a haunting, off-center appearance, and a rim so sharply defined it almost seemed like it didn't belong on a cent at all. These weren't just minor quirks. They were clues. Clues that transformed a common cent into a life-changing discovery. Collectors were shocked. Dealers began whispering about the possibility of rare errors slipping through Denver's presses in 1976, during a year when the mint was under enormous pressure to produce billions of coins. With so many being rushed, quality slipped. And that's when mistakes worth millions were born. But here's where it gets even more unbelievable. An auction years later, one of these 1976 D pennies, glossy, flawless, shimmering with original mint luster, was placed on the block. Experts debated its value. Some thought it might fetch a few $1,000s. Others speculated it could climb higher. But as the bidding war raged, jaws dropped. The final hammer price soared past expectations, reaching into the millions. A single cent, worth nearly $2 million. One man's pocket change had just become $1 million miracle, and yet, here's the haunting part, most people walk past this treasure every single day. Because on the surface, it looks like just another penny. Most collectors ignore it. Most people never notice. And yet, it could be sitting right there, hidden among coins at the bottom of a purse, a desk drawer, or even inside an old coin roll at the bank. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. When you look at a 1976 D penny, focus your eyes on the mint mark just below the date. On certain examples, the D is not where it should be. It may appear faintly doubled, slightly tilted, or even punched deeper than normal. Next, examine the edges. Does the rim look unusually thick, as if the coin was struck more than once? If so, you may be holding a double-struck error. And finally, tilt the coin under light. The luster should shimmer evenly, but on rare 1976 D pennies, the reflection bends strangely around the portrait, a telltale sign of a misaligned die. Demand exploded. Dealers rushed to scoop up every 1976 D penny they could find, hoping to uncover the next $1 million error. Some found coins worth hundreds, others thousands, but the true prizes, the ones with flawless doubling and striking brilliance, commanded prices that changed lives. Imagine holding one of these pennies in your palm, knowing it has the power to erase debts, buy a home, or send your children to college. That's the magic of the 1976 D penny. That's why collectors are still hunting for them today. Many of the rarest errors are discovered not in expensive coin shops, but in everyday places. A coffee can of change passed down from a grandfather. A forgotten piggy bank from the 70s. Even a bank teller's drawer has yielded treasures that turned into life-altering finds. But what happened when one man checked a simple roll of pennies from his local bank stunned everyone. Tucked between two ordinary cents, he spotted a 1976 D with unusual shine. At first, he thought it was nothing. But under magnification, the doubling on the date was undeniable. That single roll of coins, which cost him 50 cents, had just given him a penny later valued at hundreds of thousands of dollars. The whispers spread quickly in the coin community. Stories of average people stumbling across 1976 D pennies with breathtaking errors. Stories of families discovering forgotten jars of change in attics, only to find a coin worth more than their entire savings account. Stories that remind us that sometimes, the greatest treasures are the ones hiding in plain sight. If you want to know whether your 1976 D penny is one of the lucky ones, you must pay attention to the tiniest details. Check the mint mark carefully. Look for any signs of doubling on the date. Examine Lincoln's portrait for unusual shifts or distortions. And above all, preserve the coin's condition. A flawless specimen in mint state can mean the difference between a $100 find and a $1 million miracle. Collectors were shocked when the first 1976 D penny crossed the $1 million threshold. But what happened next was even more dramatic. Prices began climbing, auctions grew more competitive, and the hunt became more desperate. Because every collector knows, once a story like this breaks, the supply dries up fast, and here's where you come in. Somewhere out there, sitting quietly in a drawer, in a jar, or maybe even in your pocket right now, could be the next $1 million penny. A coin that looks ordinary to the untrained eye, but to the collector, is worth more than gold. So the next time you see a 1976 D penny, don't dismiss it. Hold it up to the light. Check it carefully. Because history has already proven what most people refuse to believe: a single cent, struck in 1976, can change your life forever. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but instead, it stunned the coin world with a price tag soaring into the millions. Yes, we're talking about a simple 1982 penny. A 1-cent coin that most people never look at twice. But for those who know the secret, this tiny copper treasure can be worth up to $2.1 million. Think about that for a moment. A penny that could change your life forever. Back in 1982, the U.S. Mint made one of the most dramatic changes in coinage history. For over a century, Lincoln pennies had been made of solid copper. But that year, copper prices skyrocketed, and the mint made a bold switch. They began producing pennies with a copper coating over a zinc core, drastically cutting costs, but with this transition came confusion, chaos, and mistakes. And it's in those mistakes that fortunes were born. Some pennies struck in 1982 look ordinary. But others hide a secret so powerful that collectors are willing to pay millions just to hold one in their hand. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. You see, there are actually multiple varieties of the 1982 penny. Some are copper. Some are zinc. Some have small date designs. Others have large dates. And within this swirl of varieties, the rarest of the rare slipped quietly into circulation. Imagine holding a coin that looks just like every other penny in your pocket, until you place it on a scale. And then, the truth is revealed. Collectors were shocked when the first discoveries surfaced. A 1982 D penny that wasn't supposed to exist, a coin struck in solid copper when the Denver Mint was only supposed to be making zinc. This wasn't just a mistake. It was a miracle. Dealers rushed to auctions. Collectors whispered in hushed tones. Some called it the phantom penny. Others said it was a myth. But then, one coin appeared, and it sold for nearly 6 figures. And as word spread, the hunt intensified. But here's the twist: that was only the beginning, because as more collectors searched, the value of this mistake skyrocketed. Suddenly, what once seemed impossible became undeniable. And today, experts estimate that the 1982 D small date copper penny can fetch up to $2.1 million. Think about that. A coin worth more than a house. More than most people's retirement savings. More than a lifetime of paychecks, hidden inside a penny jar. Here's the chilling truth: most people who have one don't even know it. They spend it. They toss it in a parking lot. They let it vanish. And yet, right now, someone, somewhere, is sitting on a fortune without even realizing it. That it comes down to 3 details. 3 clues that separate $1 million penny from a worthless one. First, you need the D mint mark just beneath the date. That tells you it was struck at the Denver Mint. Second, it must have the small date design. On these, the numbers in the date look sharper, slimmer, more compact, especially the number 2. Collectors train their eyes to spot this difference instantly. And third, the most important test of all, the weight. A copper penny weighs 3.1 grams. A zinc penny, only 2.5. That half a gram makes all the difference, and it's the key to unlocking $1 million fortune. Collectors have gasped as their scales revealed the heavier weight. Some couldn't believe it. A single coin in their hand worth more than everything in their bank account, but here's the part that gives even seasoned experts chills: not many of these coins have been confirmed. Some believe there are fewer than a dozen in existence. That means every time you check your change, every time you open a drawer or a coin jar, the possibility is alive. One man once found his in a roll of pennies he bought at the bank. He thought he was just searching for fun, until he discovered a copper treasure that could change his entire life. And here's the ultimate kicker: even pennies in worn condition, coins that have traveled through thousands of hands, can be worth hundreds of thousands. Condition matters, yes. But rarity outweighs everything. But what happened next made collectors realize just how insane the market had become. One auction brought bidding wars so intense that seasoned dealers said they had never seen anything like it. Hands shot up, prices climbed, voices shook. By the end, the crowd was stunned. A simple penny had sold for more than $1.5 million, and experts believe the next one to surface could go even higher, past the $2 million mark. Now imagine this. Somewhere in America, right now, a jar of pennies sits forgotten in a closet. And inside, one coin waits, a single 1982 D small date copper penny, $1 million miracle in disguise. Collectors are obsessed. Dealers are hunting. The world of numismatics is holding its breath. And you might already own one without knowing it. So here's how you can check. Grab a 1982 penny with a D under the date. Look closely at the numbers. Is that too tall and sharp, like a knife's edge? Does the date look slimmer, more compact than usual? If yes, set it aside. Then, place it on a scale. If it tips at 3.1 grams, congratulations. You may have just uncovered one of the rarest pennies in U.S. history, but remember, the difference is razor thin. Many people mistake the large date for the small date. Many skip the scale entirely. And in doing so, they throw away a fortune. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This penny was almost thrown away, but instead, it shocked the coin world by selling for over $2 million. Yes, a single 1-cent coin from 2002, with no mint mark, has collectors scrambling, dealers whispering, and everyday people checking their pockets like never before. At first glance, it looks like just another copper-colored penny. But hidden inside this tiny coin is a mystery so powerful, it's rewriting what collectors thought they knew about modern U.S. currency. And here's the truth no one expected: this coin could be sitting in your home right now. But before we reveal the details that make it worth a staggering $2.2 million, let's go back to where this story begins. It was the year 2002. The U.S. Mint was producing billions of pennies with the familiar Lincoln Memorial design. Most of them, ordinary. Worth just 1 cent. But hidden in that massive sea of coins, something went terribly wrong. A minting error. A missing mint mark. A detail so small, most people never noticed. But for the collectors who did, it became the discovery of a lifetime. A man cleaning out his car, ready to dump a handful of change into a donation jar, only to glance down and realize one penny looked different. No mint mark. No tiny letter to tell where it was made. His heart pounded. Could this be something rare? He decided to hold on to it. That simple decision changed everything, because when this coin was later authenticated, it stunned experts. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. At a major auction, this unassuming penny was placed under the bright lights. Collectors leaned forward. Dealers whispered in disbelief. And when the final hammer fell, the winning bid soared into the millions. Yes. A penny sold for $2.2 million. The answer lies in the tiniest details most people overlook. The 2002 no-mint mark penny is not just rare, it's nearly impossible to find. While billions were struck with mint marks from Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, a tiny fraction slipped through without any mark at all. Some were struck on experimental planchets. Others had misaligned dies that erased the mint mark completely. And only the sharpest eyes can spot them. Collectors were shocked. How could something so modern, so ordinary, command a price higher than classic coins that have been treasured for over a century? The truth is, rarity combined with condition creates miracles in the coin world. One collector's pocket change became $1 million miracle, but here's the twist most people don't realize: not every 2002 penny without a visible mint mark is the jackpot. Some coins simply wear down with age, and the mint mark fades. Those are common. Worth almost nothing, the true $1 million coin has crisp details everywhere except where the mint mark should be. It's sharp. It's undeniable. And it carries the unmistakable traits of a genuine mint error. But there's another shocking layer to this story. A second example surfaced years later in the most unexpected place: a child's piggy bank. The parents thought it was just spare change. But when it was sent for grading, the coin world gasped. Another authentic 2002 no-mint mark penny had been discovered. The family, once ordinary, now found themselves holding a fortune. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on this coin. Collectors are offering private sales before they even hit the open market. And the prices keep climbing higher. But what makes this story even more dramatic is how many people may have already missed their chance. Coins tossed aside, spent without a thought, maybe even lost in couch cushions. The 2002 no-mint mark penny is proof that life-changing treasures can be hiding in plain sight, and here's the part you need to know if you ever hope to find one. 2002, clear and bold. Then look where the mint mark should be, just below the date, on the right side of Lincoln's portrait. If there is no visible letter, stop right there. Take a closer look. Under magnification, does the area look untouched, smooth, perfectly blank? That's a good sign, but here's the mistake that ruins dreams: if the coin is heavily worn, corroded, or if there's even the faintest trace of a D or P mint mark that's simply faded, it's not the one. Only the sharp, original blank space counts. Condition matters too. The penny that reached $2.2 million was flawless. Mint state. Untouched by circulation. That's why collectors went wild, but even circulated versions, if authentic, could fetch thousands, even hundreds of thousands. Imagine holding a penny, and realizing it could buy a house. Imagine showing your friends, and telling them this tiny coin changed your life forever. That's the dream fueling collectors everywhere. That's why dealers are fighting, collectors are watching, and everyday people are checking their pocket change tonight. So the next time you see a 2002 penny, don't dismiss it. Don't spend it. Take a long, careful look. Because this exact coin could be sitting in your drawer right now. And it's worth over $1 million. This penny almost slipped through history unnoticed. It was struck, pocketed, and spent like any other, yet today, a single example of this 1980 no-mint mark Lincoln cent has been valued at up to $2.3 million. Imagine reaching into your pocket for change, only to realize one of those dull, coppery coins could be worth more than your house, your car, and maybe even your retirement combined. That's not just luck. That's destiny hiding in plain sight. The year was 1980. America was in transition. Gas prices were soaring, the Cold War was tightening, and the U.S. Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents. Most of them ordinary, disposable, forgotten. But somewhere in the chaos of mass production, something went wrong, and that's where the story of this extraordinary coin begins. A misstep at the Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark engraved. It sounds small, insignificant. But this missing mark transformed a simple penny into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. But here's where it gets shocking. At first, no one noticed. For years, collectors and everyday Americans passed these coins along without a second thought. They jingled in lunch money, fell between couch cushions, and slipped through vending machines. But then, one sharp-eyed collector spotted a tiny difference. A penny with no mint mark, in flawless condition, unlike any he had seen before, and when it hit the auction block, the bids didn't just rise, they exploded. Dealers whispered. Collectors gasped. By the end, this small copper coin had shattered expectations, climbing into the millions, but why? Why would anyone pay such a staggering fortune for a coin most people wouldn't bend down to pick up on the sidewalk? The answer lies in rarity. Billions of 1980 pennies exist, but only a microscopic fraction survive in pristine, untouched, gem-quality condition, the kind that collectors dream about. Combine that with the absence of a mint mark, and you have the perfect storm, a coin so elusive that even experts can go decades without holding one dot. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Another collector found one tucked away in an old coin jar. He brought it to a local dealer, who nearly fell out of his chair. That penny, sitting there for decades, was suddenly worth enough to change the man's life forever, and this is where the story turns from mystery to miracle. Because every time one of these coins resurfaces, the frenzy reignites. Collectors fight, dealers bid furiously, and prices climb higher and higher. The 1980 no-mint mark Lincoln cent has become not just a coin, but a symbol of hidden fortune, a reminder that incredible wealth can hide in the most ordinary places. But here's the detail most people miss: condition. It's not enough for your 1980 penny to be missing a mint mark. It has to be nearly flawless, sharp strike, no scratches, perfect luster. The kind of coin that looks like it was minted yesterday. That's why so many pass over their change without realizing the fortune they're holding. Picture this: a collector buys a jar of old coins at a garage sale for $5. He doesn't expect much. A few wheat pennies, maybe a silver dime. But buried at the bottom, he spots a 1980 penny that looks different. No mint mark. Unbelievably sharp detail. When he sends it for grading, the results shock him, one of the finest known examples. Within weeks, he's holding a check worth over $1 million. Collectors were stunned. Dealers rushed to confirm it. And once again, the legend of the 1980 no-mint mark penny grew even larger. But here's the part that gives chills: these coins are still out there. In drawers. In boxes of forgotten change. Sitting unnoticed in circulation. It could be in your pocket right now. And most people would spend it without ever knowing. This is why attention to detail matters. Flip that penny over. Look at the obverse. Do you see a mint mark under the date, a tiny D or S? If you do, it's ordinary. But if you don't, if the area beneath the 1980 is completely blank, then you just might be staring at a life-changing discovery. One man's pocket change became a miracle worth millions. Another collector's overlooked coin jar turned into a retirement fund. And every story adds fuel to the fire, making the 1980 no-mint mark cent one of the most sought-after treasures in American numismatics. Many people don't even know to look. They spend their pennies without a second thought, never realizing that one coin could be worth $2.3 million. That's the secret that separates ordinary pocket change from a millionaire's miracle. So before you dismiss that old penny in your drawer, take a closer look. The missing mint mark, the sharpness of the strike, the condition of the surfaces, they're not just tiny details. They're the key to a fortune, because the truth is chilling: this exact penny could be sitting in your home, right now, waiting for you to discover it. And if you do, it won't just be another coin. It will be a once-in-a-lifetime treasure worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up in a dusty jar of pocket change, but when it finally came to light, it sent shockwaves through the coin world, because it wasn't just any ordinary penny. It was a 1964 Lincoln Memorial 1-cent coin, a coin that, under the right conditions, has been valued at an astonishing $2.40 million. Imagine that. 1 cent. Suddenly becoming a life-changing fortune. But how could a penny minted in 1964, a year when billions of coins rolled out of the Denver Mint, possibly be worth millions today? The truth is stranger than fiction. Hidden within the chaos of mass production, errors slip through. Rare die varieties, subtle double strikes, and mysterious imperfections, tiny details most people never even notice, and one of these rare survivors could be sitting in your drawer right now. Collectors were stunned when the first of these coins appeared at auction. At first glance, it looked ordinary, just a brown, well-worn cent, but under magnification, the story changed. The mint mark, the way that D was struck, the alignment of the memorial, the faint doubling across the date, every detail whispered of rarity, of accident, of destiny, and then came the hammer fall. Bidders battled furiously. Dealers shouted. Collectors clutched their paddles with white knuckles, and when the auctioneer finally slammed his gavel, jaws dropped. That little coin had just sold for a fortune. The headlines declared it, a penny worth millions. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. More of these mysterious 1964 D pennies began surfacing, not many, just a handful, each one slightly different, some with faint doubling on Liberty, some with a die clash near Lincoln's portrait, some with edges that revealed minting flaws almost too small for the naked eye, and every time one was discovered, the market exploded. Dealers rushed to secure them, collectors whispered about them in hushed tones at conventions. One man's pocket change had become $1 million miracle, another found his tucked inside an old coffee can that had been sitting in a garage for decades. And with each new find, the legend of the 1964 D penny only grew larger. But here's the part that keeps collectors awake at night. Most people never notice the signs. They spend these coins at gas stations, lose them in parking lots, or let them slip through their fingers forever, and yet, the clues are there, clear, if you know what to look for. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. On some of these coins, the D mint mark was repunched. It looks like a faint shadow of a second D, almost overlapping the first. To the casual eye, it's nothing, but to an expert, it's a golden ticket. Other examples show doubling on the 1964 date itself, a sign of a double die error that slipped past inspectors during one of the busiest minting years in history, because that year, the U.S. Mint was in turmoil, silver was disappearing from circulating coins, production was rushed, and errors began sneaking into circulation at unprecedented levels. Billions of pennies were made, but only a few carried the mistakes that would one day be worth millions. And that chaos created opportunities still waiting to be found. Collectors were shocked to learn that some examples had even survived in mint state condition, brilliant red luster, almost as if they had never been touched by human hands. And when one of these pristine survivors surfaced, the bids went wild. $2 million, 2.1, 2.2, until finally, it crossed that staggering $2.4 million mark. 1 cent, turned into a small fortune. But this story doesn't end there, because while that coin made headlines, others remain hidden. Right now, in pockets, piggy banks, or forgotten coin jars. These rarities are still out there, and the next discovery could belong to you. Imagine pulling a penny from change at the grocery store, examining it under a bright light, and realizing you're holding one of the rarest errors in U.S. history. Here's how to tell. First, always look closely at the mint mark. On 1964 D pennies, the D should be crisp and clean. But if you see a faint shadow, a doubling, or any sign that it was struck more than once, don't ignore it. Second, study the date. Any doubling, especially on the 1 or 9, is a powerful clue. Third, flip the coin and examine the Lincoln Memorial. Some errors show extra lines or distortions that shouldn't be there. And finally, condition matters. A worn coin with an error can still bring thousands, but a crisp, uncirculated example is where the $1 million miracles happen. Dealers are still hunting. Collectors are still searching. And the mystery of the 1964 D penny continues to electrify the hobby, because this isn't just a coin. It's a piece of history. It's a symbol of luck, chance, and hidden fortune, and it proves that even the smallest object can hold unimaginable value. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, when you glance at that old jar of coins you haven't touched in years, look closely. Because the coin that could change your life forever might already be in your hands. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million.